hour is here.
Check it out.
And you're locked on to Utah's highest rated, most listened to sports radio station.
It's my station. It's my station.
This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You got to get it in now because the webcams and everything is going in. So get that out of your system, Lloyd.
Well, we're only a week or two away, aren't we?
It's been 2 weeks for the last two in it.
Well, I think the remodel is happening this Friday. It was supposed to be Wednesday. Now it's moved to Friday.
Yeah. We're going to be doing the shows from home on Friday.
I can't believe it.
You okay with that, Lloyd?
How cool is that, Lloyd?
Hey, you guys run things.
I've set I've got a big old neon light Hans and Scotty show thing.
Oh, really?
Will sit right behind me. I had characters done of you and I that are kind of painting characters.
Oh, nice. Caricatures?
Yeah, that'll sit behind us, sit behind me, right by. So I've done up a pretty nice little set.
The problem is nobody will see it.
Well, I thought you said we're doing it from home.
Well, we were doing the show from home on Friday because they're remodeling the studio.
Oh.
Not like forever.
Oh, I thought you were saying every Friday. I thought you were saying it was a casual Friday.
Can we do that? Every Friday we do the show from home?
Yeah, no.
Casual Fridays. Live from Hans and Scotty's houses.
At home on Friday.
Lloyd, you can produce from home? How about that? Fair's fair.
Yeah, I don't think that works exactly.
You can
Thursday night, take that board home with you.
Yeah, you can log in from home, can't you? Run the board from home?
I'm supposed to be able to have the ability to do something like that, but
never quite.
We haven't gotten that quite figured out.
Come to fruition.
How was your weekend, Scotty?
It was good.
It was good.
Yeah.
Wasn't as good as it could have been.
The game went sideways on Saturday, but that's all right. The environment was rocking. It was just a really fun atmosphere. I know you were there for a bit.
That environment's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that environment is absolutely incredible, and that feeling's incredible. Had a fun weekend up there. Spent the weekend with Bronco and Diana Sabo and the Utah State coaching staff. They couldn't have gotten rid of me quick enough.
That sounds like a podcast, by the way. Weekends with Bronco.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Well, Bronco did do that podcast.
Yeah.
For the time that he was on his farm.
Still can't believe he did that. But.
Yeah, which is awesome. But they couldn't have got rid of me fast enough. But I could have stayed there probably permanently because it is a blast.
They are all football all the time. It's all business up there.
Dude. That trip was a blast.
For you and for Rock. Amanda, maybe not so much.
And the coaches, I can't believe that they do these things. They spend wakeless hours doing this.
Yeah.
Flying kids in, pick them up in vans, and it was all hands on deck. So official trip number 2 was different than official trip number 1. Official trip number 1, it's like some hands on deck. Bronco, it was all hands on deck. So every assistant, every director, even the athletic director, like everybody's hands on deck and everybody was available. Everybody was working from like 6 a.m. until 9 p.m. And they're cranking out good food and they got fun games and they've got hotel check-ins and they just work.
Yeah.
And I'm looking like, do you feel compensated for this? Like now, not only are you, which it was more babysitting me than it was babysitting Rock. Dude, we had a funny conversation. Rock got after me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said, Dad, you're making me look bad because this is not my official visit. And you know, I grew up in Logan and I grew up on that Aggie campus.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't need campus visits. I grew up in football. I don't need football meetings. I didn't want to eat breakfast because I don't eat breakfast. I don't eat until about 1 or 2 in a day. And so it's like, no, this isn't mandatory. And so we're sitting there and he goes, Dad, this is mandatory. Like, you got to be at breakfast. I'm like, I don't want to, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to shove myself full of pancakes at 8 in the morning, but you still need to be there. I'm like, no, you need to be there, not me.
Yeah.
This is your trip. And he's like, yeah, but they he's he's such an amazing kid, dude. He's such a better kid than I ever was. So I'm
Don't you ruin this for me, Dad.
So that's exactly what he was saying. He's like, Coach, he goes, how do you think the coaches are going to feel when they see you late or you missing for a breakfast what are they going to think about me?
Yeah, he's got a point.
And I said, they're going to see you on time, and they're going to think, boy, he's way better than his dad. That's what I'm hoping that they say.
Or they're going to be like, well, what stock does this kid come from?
I know. But, the days were long, and the breakfasts were early.
All right, so, but they went heavy X's and O's, man. You were texting me from these meetings.
They did.
I think that's fascinating.
I will, there after this full weekend with Bronco, and we did spend a lot of time with Bronco. He spent a lot of time, dude, with these recruits, and with these signees. He spent a lot of time. I couldn't believe how much Bronco time there was.
Yeah.
So he was at the breakfast, he was at the lunch, he was at the dinners, he would mill around, he did multiple talks. I was really impressed. And I can also see why he wins. It just makes total sense. After coming out of the weekend, it's weird because you kind of build this perception of who Bronco was in his 11 years at BYU, and you kind of know what Bronco did. Bronco won a lot at BYU.
Oh, yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
And I think that the only and main criticism was, could he get over the hump? But the problem was it was never really Bronco getting over the hump. It was BYU getting over the hump once they entered into independence. Like, what was their ceiling? And it was almost like Bronco and BYU met their ceiling together, and BYU's ceiling was lower than what Bronco wanted. So Bronco moved on.
Yeah.
And, he went in search of Virginia. He went to Virginia and got his team to an Orange Bowl.
Yeah. Did a tremendous job at Virginia.
So I didn't really have the deepest understanding of what made Bronco successful at BYU. But after this weekend, I have a better understanding of what makes him successful in general.
Just the details, or?
It's the details. It's the details. Mostly the details. But so I think one thing that we miss in businesses, like anybody that's driving around listening or that's pulling this up on a podcast, whatever your job is, whatever your occupation is, it's like, okay, well, what are your employer's expectations? Or, what are the expectations for you? How high are they? Are they specified? If you don't meet them, what's the repercussions? So if I don't know what you want or what you need from me, how as an employer can you get what you want or what you need from me? And then if you make it more specific, then I can give you a more specific result. And Bronco is just very specific. Very, very specific. There are no loose ends. You don't leave a day wondering, did I do enough? Or you don't leave a day wondering where I stand. Or if you do what you're supposed to do, you're in great standing. It's that easy. If you don't, then you're not in good standing. And you know what you're supposed to do. So I just think it was really interesting the way they lay everything out for the kids, dude. It's nothing is left to chance. Now, the kid still has to be intrinsically dedicated, motivated, and pushed. It's still largely dependent on them. But that's why this staff puts in numerous amounts of hours to find the guys that are going to fit into that. And I was around a lot of the guys up there, and I'm looking around like, okay, that guy's a high character kid. I knew about 10 kids up there. Like, that guy's high character. He's high character. I could see the high character guys, and I'm like, okay, well they've surrounded themselves with high character guys. Rock is an extremely high character guy,
Oh yeah,
he's a very high character kid. And it's like, okay, they've surrounded themselves with high character kids. Bronco will win at Utah State. He will absolutely win in Logan. I was just looking at Bryson Barnes and his reps when he stepped on the field last year. I felt like Bryson Barnes should have been the starting quarterback day one. I actually thought he was better than the Iowa kid. And when he stepped on the field, he did some great things. High character guy, you're probably going to want to limit certain throws and fight certain expectations of his ability and play him in the slot that he's built for. But I think you would agree with me. Bryson Barnes can win.
Oh, yeah. And that's when you saw Spencer Petras go out there, he looked like a quarterback and he threw like a quarterback. Like he looked like the quarterback, and when he threw the ball. But I'll say this, when it was the fourth quarter and you needed somebody to win a game, you felt more comfortable with Bryson Barnes.
Bryson would have won it.
Yeah.
Yeah, or could have won it.
Yeah. Had Bryson started the whole season, I think Utah State goes to a bowl game last year. I think they get to at least 6 and 6.
I fully would back that.
Yeah, and it's not a knock on Petras. I think Petras is a really good quarterback. Barnes just has that little weird little it factor where game's on the line, he's going to find a way. Cooper Legas had that. There's certain guys that may not physically have all the tools and may not look like the imposing figure at quarterback, but when it's fourth quarter and you need to go 60 yards to get into a game-winning field goal range or something like that, there's certain guys you trust and certain guys are like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But Barnes is that guy. You're like, he'll get it done.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I'm really excited about the football team. You know how in this business, Scotty, you and I, in this business, we get to know people, and sometimes it takes a while to gain trust or faith in somebody.
Yeah.
And both you and I have known Jerry Bovee for a lot of years, and we love Jerry. And we know he's capable of great things as an athletic director. And there's no doubt about it. And I didn't know a lot about Diana Sabo. Like, she's pretty new to the market.
Yeah.
And she's very new to you and I. And so every opportunity you get to spend some time with somebody or watch them in a public setting, watch them interact with recruits or interact with parents of recruits or interact with assistant coaches, I put my eye on her this weekend, just trying to build a resume of, okay, what's she all about? I don't want anybody to confuse it. The only thing she's about it, she's winning.
Yeah.
She wants to win.
Yes.
She's competitive to the very core. And the things that she said in her speech, her talk, it's all competition. It's about giving the right people the right resources to go win. It's what she wants. And I can get on board with that. And I could tell that the parents and the kids were hanging on every word that she was saying. And that's another tough thing to do, to have that skill set where you can talk when everybody's tired and pushed to their max, and you can talk and people listen. Because it was a late evening talk. And everybody had just eaten dinner, and, you know, people can get sluggish and start to lose focus. And she spoke after Bronco. So there were 3 talks, and then she spoke. And it was like, man, she held the audience. She had the right tone. She addressed the right message. And I was like, I'm impressed. You know, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are still shook up and ticked off because of the firings and the moves. And to me, it's like we're going to get into this Laker-Dallas Mavericks thing. To me, the proof is in the pudding. Okay, so right now, this Mavericks general manager is under fire.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But Nico's done some things that have panned out really well, that have got them to a finals. He's done some things. So we can all hammer him and hate him, and I'm about to do that here in this next segment. But the proof's in the pudding. And Diana Sabo right now, her pudding was the hire of Coach Calhoun.
Correct.
And that's proven out. Now, this weekend was a bump, but he's done some amazing things. 19-3.
19-3. Yep.
19-3 is an incredible mark.
Yeah. And being around Diana over the last couple of years, year and a half, I guess she was hired beginning of football season last year. I don't think I have met a more competitive athletic director.
She's very competitive.
Extremely competitive.
She wants to win.
Absolutely love it. I love it because she will do whatever's necessary. I think there was a feeling in that athletic department, and I'm not pinpointing anybody in particular when I say this, but I think there was a vibe of this is what we've done before. This is how we've gone about things, and we'll just keep doing that. You know what? We got to understand who we are. This is Logan, Utah. We're not that big, and just kind of accepting of the role of where you're at in the grand scheme of things. And Diana came in like, no.
She's purging that.
Screw that.
No, she's purging that.
Yeah, like it doesn't matter if we're in Cache Valley. It doesn't matter if we're in Columbus, Ohio. We're shooting for the stars.
Yeah.
And we're going. And if we miss, so be it. But we're taking chances. I mean, the Pac-12, I think her and Betsy Cantwell deserve a ton, if not all of the credit, a ton of credit for getting them into the Pac-12.
And that's panning out well.
And that's going to pan out
looking
very
really good.
well. Paying Bronco, coming up with the salary to pay Bronco, the money that you need to pay, the salary pool for the assistants, I think is actually even more important than what you pay your head coach.
More important, and it's more impressive. I think the jump from head coach to head coach, the pool that they put together for assistants is even a more impressive jump from last pool, I think.
So I'll say she deserves a victory lap. She won't because she's extremely humble, but I think she deserves a bit of a victory lap with what's been going on at Utah State. And I think this football team this upcoming year is going to show that too.
I think it will. And when I was talking to the assistants and I was asking them, do you feel like you can win here? Because there's assistants that have come from everywhere.
Yeah.
This is a staff that's built of former Virginia players, an O-line coach out of William Mary, an offensive coordinator out of San Jose State. It's a very wide-ranging,
eclectic.
It's very eclectic. It is. It's got a lot of unique character.
Yeah. And
I was asking a couple of them, "Do you think you can win here?" You know, and I know you're just new to Logan, and they looked around like, if we don't have an excuse. And that's a good thing to hear. That's a really good thing to hear because a lot of times, you know, you show up in New Mexico with your staff and your staff's in a $1.8 million pool and everybody's making pennies and you're putting in extra hours like this weekend with these recruits and you're looking around like, what am I even doing? I'm burning it at both ends. I don't need to burn it at both ends. They're not paying me to burn it at both ends. So you start to take a couple of hours off. You start to let your staff go home Sunday at noon. You start to do things because you're like, no, we've got excuses. Our excuse is you don't. And by the way, this I'm not saying anything that New Mexico did. I'm just using this as an example. But from what I was told by a couple of different individuals up there was we just don't have. There's no excuse for us not to. They feel like it's a place you can recruit to. They feel like they've got the money as the pool. Now, there's some name, image, and likeness stuff that's got to come around, but this new revenue distribution set is probably going to make a difference for Utah State as they move into the Pac-12 and they get an infusion of TV revenue dollars that can help them pay a certain scaled set that should be on par with Oregon State, Washington State, Boise State. It should. They should be able to get themselves close to on par in that revenue distribution coming up in 2 years. Yeah.
Got to get through this upcoming year. Yeah. And then in 2 years, 26, that sucker will hit in.
So, as you always say, Scotty, you know, off-season, preseason, it's always the best time for coaches because there's not a game played yet. There's no record on the books. And you're getting your guys and you feel like you're excited about the guys that you get. But when I was up there just kind of taking everything in, I was very optimistic, extremely optimistic.
What's the recruiting world like now as opposed to when you were going through it?
You can't even compare the two. So I took all 5 recruiting trips, plus I took one unofficial. My trip to BYU was an unofficial.
You never actually even took an official to the place you went to.
Nope, I didn't. Took an unofficial. And in all my trips, I never saw a parent. Not one. Not a single parent. And there was not a single recruit up there without a parent or a family member. Sister, grandma, grandpa. And I saw all kinds of family. Grandmas, grandpas, daughters, sisters. You just see brothers. There was a group from Westlake, that defensive end, I think he is, had his brother who was a former player and mom and dad. And everybody gets nice hotel. Everybody gets nice meals and everybody gets to go bowling or gets to go play games. And, you know, You can't even compare it. And remember, you go back 10 years ago when we were talking about Rock and his path and his future, and I was like, I'll never let him go on a recruiting trip alone, because those recruiting trips used to be full debauchery. And nowadays, you don't do that. You go with your family. It makes sense, doesn't it?
Oh, it makes total
sense. Because it's a family decision.
Well,
and, your mom and dad are there, and you're looking at everything, and you're like, oh, this all makes sense.
I've heard multiple coaches say, you recruit mom as much as you recruit the kid.
Yeah.
Because you win mom over.
Yeah.
Mom's going to tell the kid where to go.
Yeah. There's something pretty amazing. Like, because I love to sit in corners and to just observe.
Yeah.
I love to because it helps me with the show.
Yeah.
That's a big part of our show is just observation. One of my favorite takeaways from the weekend was watching the moms interact with their Division I sons. It's absolutely the greatest thing that you can watch. These proud mamas that just, they just want hugs from their big oaf kids, and these kids, I would say every kid that I saw, they're all just beautiful kids, great hearts, good intentions, hugging mom and loving up on mom and dad and enjoying the moment together. And I'll tell you the other thing that was interesting that I'd never seen before. That initiatory dinner that we had, which was, 7 p.m.-ish, at every table, there was a university professor.
Really? Interesting.
Every table. There was a professor for either the head of a department or a professor from the department at every table.
Smart. I like that.
I've never seen it. I've had academic meetings, and, you might meet with a dean or head of academics or something, but having a professor, and ours was the Department of Anthropology, was the professor at our table.
Really?
Yeah, so I started rubbing elbows a little bit, like,
yeah.
How did we get started in this? Like, where do we go from here? We'll go dig up some bugs, you and I? How are we going to get? And he was like, I'm here for your son, not you.
Not you.
So just eat your food and shh.
You may not have known this, but I was very close to being a paleontologist.
Anthropology is just one step below paleontology.
There's an ology. They're closely related, right? All right, Hans and Scotty, 1224. Hey, coming up, the trade heard round the world. I was just wrapping up that game in Logan. And
I just wrapped up listening to that game.
Yeah, I was packing up my stuff, and I opened up my phone, and there's the Shams tweet. And everybody was kind of talking. I'm like, hey, everybody shut up. Luka just got traded. Everybody's like, what? Spencer's like, no, it's a hacked account. And I'm like, and so you immediately go because you don't want to be that guy who retweets a bad tweet. And I went through and I'm like, no, this guy's got 2.5 million. This is Shams. Shams tweet. This isn't some makeup account. And nobody could believe it. Everybody's like, well, he got hacked. And I'm like, nobody's hacking Shams. Come on now. You only say you got hacked when you do something stupid and then you blame the hack, but you don't actually get hacked. But it was official. In fact, even Shams had to tweet out, yeah, this is real. It's going down. We'll break it down next. Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is DJ and PK.
I think it boils down to what is your level of faith in Jazz management? Because they're going to be the ones that put the team in the position to win. The old argument, is it management or is it players? And I always answered, yes, it's both.
Can't do it with only one.
What's your level of faith in Jay-Z and Ainge at the top of the totem pole? And then when it comes down to spending money, what is your faith in ownership?
Of all the things to worry about, Ryan Smith writing checks should be way down the list.
I don't have any worry about any of that. I have faith in those guys being able to do what they set out to do.
So I can hear Jazz fans in the car right now. That's great, PK. When will this happen?
I know. I think it has an opportunity to get a significant jump start this summer.
Catch DJ and PK mornings from 6 to 10 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're locked on to Hans Olsen and Scotty G.
That's right. Yeah!
On on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hans, we got a lot of really good things coming up this week, including multiple ways in which you can help out because, let's be honest, the fires in Southern California have displaced a lot of pets. And many shelters are at max capacity right now. We're going to be out and about. JJ and Alex will be out at Doug Smith Subaru, Best Friends Animal Rescue, 901 West Main Street in American Fork. They'll be there Wednesday from 3 to 6 to help more animals find homes. We're going to be at the Humane Society coming up this week as well. So, Jake and Ben are going to be out as well, all with the hope of finding a lot of homes for some displaced pets out there.
That's incredible, man. Glad to be a part of that. These animals need some real help, so grateful to be a part of that. That's Wednesday. Come out, be a part of the event. Come down, say hi to Scotty and I.
Yep.
And help an animal just have a little bit better life.
All right. You will always ask yourself, where were you when you saw the tweet? When Shams said Anthony Davis to Dallas and Luka Doncic to the Lakers.
Yeah.
I didn't believe it. Had a hard time wrapping my brain around it. Still, frankly, having a hard time wrapping my brain around it because, the old adage, fortune favors the bold. If you're Nico Harrison, can't get much bolder than this. He's either going to be one of the best GMs in the league or get fired over this one. There's no in between.
So, personally, I think eventually time's going to show that he should probably be fired over this.
Yeah.
We talked about the last 20 years of championships. We talked about this. In the last 20 years, 10 different organizations have won championships because you've got repeaters. The 5 outliers had one of the top 3 players in the NBA. And Luka Doncic is one of those top 3 players. In any given year, he'll be one of the top 3. Plus, he's still 25 years old. So he could be one of the top 3.
He's 25.
Yeah, he's 25.
He's 25 years old. He's not 32. He's 25.
So he could realistically be one of the top 3 for the next 10 years.
Easy. Yes.
Okay. So we need to put that in perspective. You have to have a Luka Doncic if you're going to win a championship if you're not a dynasty. Or even if you are a dynasty, you still have to have one of the best players in the NBA, one of the top 3 players. It's just how things have worked, specifically over the last 20 years. You've got to have the marquee player. And you and I went through those outliers. We went through the 5 teams that did not have a repeat championship. And every one of the 5 had one of the top 3, if not the number 1. They had one of the top 3. Luka Doncic is that. You can't trade that away. Plus, Luka Doncic just got you to an NBA Finals. And he did it in spite of a lot of different odds. He did it in spite of that. So you have now traded that piece to a historically incredible organization that knows how to win, and he could land in that organization, and he could win there. They could put pieces around him. The thing is, all he needs to do is win one championship in the next 3 years, and I think that everything gets flipped on its head. I think anybody who had any part of that trade looks awful.
Yeah.
And believe me, I went through every one of the reasons that was stated by whether it was Nico or by the Dallas Mavericks as to why they made this move. I went through every one of them.
Oh, defense wins in this league.
So that was his most bolded, highlighted, and framed statement. Defense wins in this league. Anthony Davis gives us defense. Got to make the trade. He talked, there has been direct relation to his interest in his own health, keeping his weight low, his nutrition, and his physical stature, just how he is, his, what do you call it? How much he stays in shape.
Yeah.
That there's questions there.
He can get husky, as our moms would say.
Yeah. And, multiple people have said that he's in that 270 range. But the problem is he still got you to an NBA Finals last year.
Yeah. Yep.
And so Nico Harrison has decided to pull the trigger on a trade that is probably going to have a negative impact on his standing. Now, remember, Nico Harrison has done a lot with Dallas. He hired Jason Kidd after Jason had been through 2 organizations and petered out. Looked terrible. Mm-hmm. He hired Jason. Jason Kidd got him to a finals. Pretty impressive. He traded Kyrie Irving after the All-Star guard became a pry around the league. So he was able to acquire Kyrie Irving when nobody wanted him.
Yep.
Nobody.
You got him for nothing, and he's turned into a great player.
Right. Kind of a team player.
Yeah. Yep. Bought in.
You go back, you look at the Kristaps Porzingis trade to the Wizards and what that did for Dallas. Okay, so this is all under Nico Harrison. The problem is you just traded away a piece that has the probability of the next 10 years of being one of the top 3 pieces in the league.
Yeah.
And you kind of got the luxury right now because he's injured, he's banged up, he's out. So is Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis has been out the last couple of games.
Which he always will be.
Yeah. So I was just looking at this. Anthony Davis has played in 42, I think 42 games out of the possible 47 for the Lakers this year. I think he's missed like five or 6 games. So he's played. He'd been around, but we know it. There's a reason his name is Street Clothes.
Yeah, I mean, there's Charles Barkley nicknamed him Street Clothes for a reason. You just gave up a top 3, top 4 player in the league for a guy whose nickname is Street Clothes.
Well, okay, let me just for the sake of conversation, let me just go back to 2000. Let's start in 2019 with New Orleans. Last year in New Orleans, 56 games. First year in LA, 62. Then he went 36 in 21. 40 in 22, 56 in 23, and then 76 last year. So pretty well attended last year, but there was about 5 or 6 years in there where he was either at half, just below half, or just above half of the games available.
Yeah.
That's Anthony Davis, Street Clothes. So don't sit here and tell me that you're pulling the trigger because you're not sure how stable Luka Doncic is. Luka Doncic played about 100 games last year. He did miss a few games, but then he played whatever it was, 20 games in the postseason.
Yeah.
He probably played close to 100 games. Or maybe just below. 90-ish or so.
You're about that.
And got you to a finals.
Dragged you to a finals.
I'm trying to get the significance of this drilled into people's heads out there. If the Jazz did this, if Luka Doncic was in this market under Ryan Smith, and Justin Zanuck and Danny Ainge just traded Luka Doncic away, where you've got supermax opportunities, where you've got him till, was it 27? Is it 2027 or 2028? I
think it's 28, but that's a good question. I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay. So
give me 2 seconds.
Scotty will get that for you. But you've got supermax opportunities. You've got him on contract till 27 or 28. Scotty will get that. He just got you to an NBA Finals, so you were close.
Yeah, he's got a player option, which obviously he will not pick up. So he's under contract this year, obviously next year, and then his player option is 26-27.
Okay, player option.
Essentially, you have 1 year left.
Okay, player option is going to be coming up quick. So, and you're right, he'll refuse that.
Yeah.
If this happened here in Utah, without exhausting every opportunity to keep one of the best players the league's ever known, and they moved him out the door for an aged, mostly broken, big defender. And I'm not trying to minimize what Anthony Davis has done because he is a beautiful player. You know I'm a big fan of his.
Oh, yeah.
We would be on air losing our collective minds.
Yeah.
Now, you and I would be looking at each other like, but we trust Danny Ainge, right? Right? Mics would cut, and you and I would be like, Danny Ainge just screwed himself. Zanuck just screwed himself. Those guys they just wrote their own death sentence for this organization. Because all they got to go do is win one championship in the next 3 years and you look stupid. Or you're a first-round exit with Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving. Or, your organization from this point, Anthony Davis, I think it was an abdominal strain that's kept him out the last couple of games. I don't know how long he's out or what's his expected return. I just was looking at it a little bit this morning. He missed the last couple of games. Or Anthony Davis gets himself on IR here in a couple weeks. Like, Scotty, you can see a handful of different ways that this goes really bad for Nico.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of scripts out there where this ends poorly.
Okay. Now do this for me, Scotty. You're very intelligent. You've been around this game for years. You know the NBA inside and out. Do this for me.
Okay, one of those is true.
How? No, they're all true. How does Nico come out of this looking good?
Okay.
Because it's not, Anthony Davis is not the piece to push them into the Western Conference Finals and back into the NBA Finals. That's how I feel, but you might feel different.
No, I don't feel different. I think it was a horrific mistake, and I think it will eventually cost him his job. There is if Dallas is able to reload, use the assets, and get themselves another top 3, top 4 player in the league, and Luka doesn't live up to his expectations, he doesn't get into the shape he needs to, and they're a perennial first, second round exit with him there, then Nico wins the trade. But that's a lot of, like, I know you don't watch superhero movies, so I'm going to talk to Lloyd here. Lloyd, you remember that that one of those Avenger movies where the guy who can see in the future goes through and he goes, I've seen 82 billion different scenarios. And the guy's like, well, how many of them do we win? 1. And I think that's the thing. I think you got like Dr. Strangelove's over there like, I'm seeing 82 billion different scenarios on how this is going to end up. And there's one in which the Dallas Mavericks win this trade. That's it. Everything else is you're going to get fired. You're going to have to go through the ranks and be an assistant GM somewhere. And the Lakers are going to win 4 titles in the next 10 years. Because of what you did. I remember being on the air the day Pau Gasol got traded to Lakers. And we were like, that's what Kobe needed. That's what Kobe needs. Kobe just got his guy. And the Lakers are going to be back to being a problem. And this feels like that times 2.
Okay, there's so many things about this that I'm just irritated about. I could go for the next hour and a half on all the points of irritation on this.
Hey, it's your show.
No,
go ahead.
No, because I don't know if this topic even deserves another segment, but it does because this is world breaking. Yeah, this is massive. I just don't understand how the Lakers have one of the top 5 players at any given moment at all times.
Yeah,
because LeBron, I kept thinking to myself, LeBron's about done. And then the Lakers are going to get theirs. Then they're going to see what it's like to sit there and have to tank to be great and then tell everybody to trust the process. The Lakers are going to get theirs. What we're currently going through in this market, the fan base is going through in this market. I kept thinking when LeBron is done and he's moved out of there, their pockets are going to be empty. He'll probably implement his son. His son is probably going to squander. They're going to make some bad decisions. And by the way, it's not like it's set in stone. The Lakers might not be done. Maybe they're trying to do other things. Maybe they don't feel like they can seal up Luka's future. I don't know. But as things currently stand, unless something's changed and I haven't seen it, they went from Kobe Bryant to LeBron James to now Luka Doncic.
You can go a little step further. You go Shaquille O'Neal, Shaq and Kobe, LeBron, Luka.
Yeah. And it bugs me. And then
Vlade Divac, Shaquille O'Neal. Oh, sorry. Maybe one of those.
Pau Gasol.
Yeah.
I mean, you really could go on and on.
Oh, I know.
They've always had, if not the number one guy, the number two.
Yeah.
And easily a top 10 to go with the number one or number two. And I'm sick of it. As we sit here and pray and hope and suffer through what is currently the worst record in the West in a back-to-back years of suffering, where you're hoping to have a 14% shot at Cooper Flag. The Los Angeles Lakers just got Luka Doncic for an aging, banged-up defender and a couple of draft moves.
I'm sure the Lakers will get the number one overall pick this year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no.
I'm sure.
Somehow.
Yeah.
And, Scotty, I just am sick of it, man.
I am too. Your
I'm
average
sick of
NBA
it.
fan saw this and was just like, does it have to be the Lakers? Does it have to? Like, they're going to sign people they want free agency. They don't need any help. Why are you, Dallas, helping the Lakers?
Why? What's your interest there? Did Nico? Is Pelinka still in?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Rob Pelinka just
Now-
looks like a hero now.
I was reading about their relationship. Goes back to like 2002 or 2003. They've been close for a lot of years. And there's people that are now,
Nico and Pelinka? Okay.
there's people now that are looking into that relationship and how it played a role, because the secrecy of this trade is baffling. When Nico's sitting next to Kidd and is like, Jason Kidd had no idea that this draft was going, or that this trade was going down. And Jason's just sitting there with a blank stare in the camera, like looking at the camera like, I want history to remember what Nico just said, because I will have no part in what just happened.
Yep.
Because, Scotty, I think that this is going to prove out possibly this year. We'll see what, you know what, we got to break. I think it might be this year, and I'll tell you why.
We'll do it next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
They could be the Utah Clown Show, and if they win a Stanley Cup, the Clown Show is going to be the coolest thing since sliced bread. Can you imagine how cool the Bozo the Clown uniforms would look, those sweaters? Can you imagine they'd sell a zillion if they could just win some hockey games? People are eventually going to like it.
Yes, I agree with that. I think sometimes we get precious at the beginning of things without realizing that really what has to happen is it just has to get baked in. To your point, whether it's the Utah Wasatch, the Utah Hockey Club, or the Utah Mammoth, 20 years from now, as long as this team is still in Utah, it's going to be beloved that the name was, and we're going to look back and laugh at the idea that, like, oh, it was almost the Utah Wasatch, or it was almost the Utah Yeti, or almost the Utah whatever.
Hear Jake Scott and Ben Anderson every day from 10 to noon on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. Looking for the latest on the Jazz, Utes, Cougars, and Aggies? Yeah. We've got you covered. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5 The Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Out and about tomorrow. We'll be live at My Hearing Center. Come by, hang out with us, Matt and the crew. It's real simple. 8941 South, 700 East. Make sure to come on by and hang out. All right, Hans, the trade heard around the world. Nico Harrison, who said, hey, look, he goes, I feel comfortable. The easy thing to do is to do nothing. Nobody gets mad at you when you do nothing, but I'm not that kind of guy. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to make some tough decisions. I'm going to make some tough calls, and this might identify him in his career. Well, it will, for good or for bad. He's not going to be remembered for hiring Jason Kidd and all the other good things he's done. He will be remembered for this singular trade.
So let me tell you why this is. It's got the potential to be a problem right now. Maybe a severe problem. This may be the Lakers making a run, at the very least, to the Western Conference Final, if not getting themselves to the finals. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to start with this. So, according to Luka's teammate, he just spent millions of dollars to buy a home in Dallas. Just did it.
Oof.
I think it was Chandler Parsons that was talking about this. I think. Does that sound right?
That sounds right.
He also talked about that nobody else has talked about, that Luka actually shed tears over this.
Yeah, Luka's not happy.
Yeah.
He's not happy at all.
He shed tears over this. So, a few things. If Luka is the competitor I think he is, he's still very young, and now he's going to be motivated because people are attacking his weight and conditioning. Conditioning was the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
I hate when a stupid word I can't get it out of my mind. People are attacking his weight and conditioning. People are now attacking his integrity because they weren't sure that he was going to stay for the Supermax. He's been moved out of a place that he settled in, that he loved, that he probably felt like he could get them back to at least the Western Conference Finals with a shot to getting them to the finals.
For sure.
And now he's moving to a team where this is the projection for me. I think that it looks like this. Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, LeBron James, and Jackson Hayes. That's your 5 on court. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, is there enough shots? Is there enough rotation to go around for Luka and LeBron? And here's the deal. It doesn't matter, because whether the shot comes from LeBron or it comes from Luka or it comes from Reeves, because Reeves has had an uptick. And then your key reserves are Dorian Finney-Smith, Dalton Connect,
Yeah.
who was starting in that backcourt with Austin Reeves, and they were doing really well. Dalton Connect seems to be the take of the draft. Maxi Kleber, who was a part of the trade, that's your key reserves. How can you not get me to a Western Conference Finals with that?
I think you can, and I do think you will.
And how do you not potentially beat Oklahoma City in the Western Conference Finals to advance to a finals? I think that is a very high probability. Now, a lot of people are going to say, is there enough defense there? Well, there was so much offense in Dallas last year that it got you there.
Yeah. We kept saying that about Dallas last year. Where's the defense? And then pretty soon it got to the point where maybe it just doesn't matter.
And then there's one component that people are forgetting. I can go to LeBron and I can tell him, LeBron, give me defense.
Yeah.
Defend the best. Create havoc. Let Luka hit transition. Let Reeves hit transition. Let them exhaust on the offensive end. Come in. And if LeBron says, I'll be a team player because I want another ring, because I want to continue to seal my legacy, I want it to be known that I am the GOAT, and I don't want the conversation to be that close either. Because if he goes and grabs a ring right now, Luka Doncic, it doesn't matter. History isn't going to show, Luka Doncic's trade made all the difference.
No.
It's just going to be another ring for LeBron.
Yeah, for sure.
So the way I look at this trade is what you did is you've got Luka in this little cage. You took a cattle prod. You hit him in the back a few times. You didn't feed him for 3 weeks, and now you're releasing him back into the NBA.
And dude's going to be pissed.
Am I off?
No, not at all. Not at all. I think this is the rejuvenation of Luka Doncic, and he's going to come out wanting to expose the world. He sees the stupid memes. I sent one to Lloyd over the weekend of that old talk show host. Who was it? Anyway, he was dancing with the Laker girls for a skit, and he goes, "Oh," and somebody goes, "Oh, look, it's the new look." Let's see here. Here we go. First look at. I mean, there's all these things.
Yeah, that's the guy that sings in the carpool.
Yeah,
carpool karaoke.
There's all these memes and all these jokes about Luka.
Yeah,
being overweight. James Corden being overweight, out of shape, doesn't care about the game, and now he goes to the Lakers where he'll have every support opportunity available to him, and he's playing with LeBron. Yeah, he's gonna be just fine.
Yeah, well, guess who? This is so ridiculous, dude. I'm so bugged about this trade, Scotty. This trade is not right. So now he joins up with an all-star starter in LeBron James. Obviously, he didn't hit the all-star because he's dealing with injury.
Yeah.
And that's the one other thing I've got to look into. How bad? I thought that the injury. I thought that they were going to reassess it at the end of this month. Is that right? Didn't we just talk to who did we just talk to? And he said that it was going to be post All-Star. Was it Kurt Helin?
I think so.
Because I asked Kurt Lloyd. Didn't I ask Kurt Helin about Luka? And he said he could come back just before the All-Star break, but they're expecting post All-Star return.
Might be a little sooner now. If I'm Luka, I want to get back on that court ASAP.
Okay, that's absolutely true, but I've got that luxury because the Lakers are at 28-19 right now.
Yeah.
They're not even really in jeopardy of having a play-in issue again, because that play-in tournament, I think, has gotten under LeBron's skin. I think he wants to stay as far away from that stupid play-in as possible. So there's even a little bit of a luxury. Dallas didn't have that kind of luxury.
No.
Luka would have had to come back and press to keep out of that play-in.
Yeah. I just think the competitive nature of Luka is going to want to be out there immediately just to prove everybody wrong about him. All right. Hans and Scotty, Andy Bailey joins us next, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.